And people are always asked, well, what does leadership really look like within a football locker room? It's who can lead other men. That's really all it boils down to. It's not about inspiration. It's not about motivation. It's not about creating fear. It's about how do you get other grown men to follow you? Simple as that. I don't know. I don't care how you do it. You can be quiet. You can be loud. You can be shasty. You can be a snake. You can be, a sheep. It doesn't matter. How do you get other men to follow you? And when you are able to do that at scale, consistently, year over year, you're going to have a great locker room. So for me, that foundation of leadership was really developed there in Pittsburgh, and was able to take some of those learnings and then, go to Jacksonville, go to New York, and then, get to Arizona and see different levels of leadership, being, here when I got to Arizona, seeing how Larry Fitzgerald led, seeing how Corey Peters led, and it's different philosophies. And the thing is, I've seen it at every step, and every step in the journey. Paul Lusney there in Jacksonville when I was there. Jeremy Parnell, who was the right tackle when I was there in Jacksonville. Even though we didn't have the success that we wanted to have on the football field, learning about the process. With Gus Bradley there in Jacksonville, and Todd Bowles. I talk about coaches all the time. Todd Bowles and Mike Tomlin, for me, are leaders of men. They know how to lead men. And it's been amazing to see the progress and the success of those two coaches within the coaching realm because they found a way to lead men, and they have their own way of being able to do it. So I've been blessed to see leadership in all different forms. Like I said, ownership, management, the locker room, some of the adjacent services that touch NFL players on a day-to-day basis. And it's always fascinating to be able to watch it and see it. And we both went through, a master's program with Charlotte Barner. So to understand organizational dynamics, organizational culture, silence within the organization, how you move, how organisms move, how things are interwoven throughout the culture, what the culture looks like. Why is the culture that way? How do you change the culture? All those different things I've been able to see from a real world experience every single day of my life since I was drafted in 2012.
Man, what a great insight into what it's like to be in a locker room. And you mentioned Coach Mike Tomlin and Coach Todd Bowles, two of the best that are doing it today, and probably two of the best here in the modern NFL history. Talk about their similarities and differences as leaders of men.
I think that both of them have a phenomenal tendency of being able to pull just the right thing from the right people to get the right result on game day. Todd Bowles has, Coach Bowles has his way of silently being able to do it. And Mike Tomlin has his way of being a puppet master to publicly be able to do it. And it's special to see how both of them were able to do it. What I really enjoyed about both of them is how they empowered the coaches around them. And you saw that in how they communicated with coaches, how they communicated with players within different units within the team. And I think that is what I found to be most refreshing. And I find that to be why they're where they're at. Todd has been a phenomenal defensive coordinator. He's been a great head coach. I don't think he got the best opportunity and the best framework to be able to do that and execute on that there in New York. But I think he's going to do a phenomenal job there in Tampa because of how he's able to, one, lead men, how he's able to empower coaches, and then how he's able to get the best out of men at the right moments in time on Sundays and even during the week.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you mentioned specifically empowering coaches, because I think that as I've kind of gone through my career and studied the best and also been a part of teams that weren't successful, like you mentioned, there's one common theme that you see in the leaders, and it's this ability to eliminate their ego. And I think part of that is admitting mistakes and doing it publicly in front of the team when they screw up. But then there's this other piece where it's not always all about them. Yes, They have big contracts. Yes, they have, weekly shows on the radio and talking to the media basically every day. But there's this other piece where you can't do it by yourself. We mentioned a couple of minutes ago about the people that surround you, and building a staff is a critical piece towards building these successful organizations and ultimately supporting a successful head coach.
Well, it's super important, but if you can't empower the people around you, how do you get your message to be disseminated throughout the organization? How do you get the things that you want to change or the things that you want to fine tune within the culture? How do you get those things disseminated throughout the organization? And I think all of that pertains to the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you nurture and bring along with you on this journey. And then how do you make sure that they're equipped and they're almost thrust forward in a number of different ways to make sure that you've equipped them to now take the reins if you don't have the reins, and I've seen that again in many different instances with Mike T and with Coach Bowles in a number of different capacities, whether it was as a head coach, as a defensive coordinator. I saw how Coach T will work with the offensive line, even though he's the defensive coordinator. I would see how Coach Todd Bowles will talk to the quarterbacks. And even though that head coach to quarterback relationship is so important, the way in which he maneuvered how to be able to operate with a young quarterback and an older quarterback and Josh McCown and Sam Darnold, I thought was impeccable.